Would Western liberal democracy be wrong for China? I think one man's medicine could be another man's poison. China has found its system and it has delivered unprecedented results, bringing prosperity to its people. China did learn all it could from the mistakes of the Western liberal democratic system and adapted to its unique system that is only a continuation of over 2,000 years of system of meritocracy, which is a mix of selection and election. Since the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the disintegration of the USSR, the world has been experiencing a big push for Western-style democracies, led mainly by the USA through NED, which is National Endowment for Democracy, which is a better marketing wording for the CIA. It was also through the use of appropriation of terms so noble and lofty, such as freedom, democracy, and human rights. USA has been promoting government changes in order to better control the world for its hegemonic agenda. Many places around the world have been experiencing the disastrous result that this imperialistic approach brought. The latest victims were Iraq, Libya, Syria, Venezuela, and unfortunately, lately my home, Hong Kong. It is very sad. The USA and UK had started their Hong Kong chaos plan already before the 1997 handover by slowly penetrating Hong Kong people's society from the education books, teachers' unions, and also by investing to media, opposition political parties, NGOs. They found the people willing to be traitors, pawns, or what I would call useful idiots. This is a slow work of conquering the mind of people at a subconscious level. It is subtle. Western soft power techniques are very powerful. Hollywood penetration of minds are gradual and very efficient if it's done from early age. It works well with kids. It manages to conquer the emotional side of people's mind rather than talk to their rational mind. People are not familiar with social, which is look for the truth through facts. I was born in Switzerland. It is a country with a very efficient political system. There's a very legitimate system with great support from its population. It is a direct democracy and we have referendum rights. I had this great model as a foundation before I left for China. This is 25 years ago. Once in China, I had to unlearn and relearn a new model. It was a hard journey as I was looking at the Chinese reality with my Western eyes. And I had also 20 years of education and I would say in some ways indoctrination. Because we are taught in the West that it is the only right model the world should follow. After 25 years in China, I have realized that there is not a right universal model, that we need to use the beauty of plurality and respect each country's choices and should never interfere in other countries' affairs and political choices. So why would it not make sense for China to head towards Western-style democracy? Very simple. China is different. It is important to learn Chinese history and to see what it has gone through, especially if you think the 200 years of humiliation, the partial colonization of China. China had missed the Industrial Revolution and is only now taking back its original position it has been holding most of human history. China is just way too big. It is 1.4 billion people. Population. Western-style democracy would bring only chaos to China like it did when it brought civil war between the Kuomintang and the Communist Party. To put into perspective, China is about 100 average-sized European country. The EU itself has not been able to introduce universal suffrage mainly because of the size challenge. Over the last 30 years, China's political model has been able to deliver great results to its people by lifting out 700 million people out of poverty. The success of Western democracy is just an illusion, to my opinion. Unlike what Lincoln was promising its citizens, most Western democracies have turned into government of the 1%, by the 1%, for the 1%, or better say, of the money, by the money, for the money. While in the USA, government planned for the next election to hold on to power. China is planning for the next generation. While in the West we see democracy as the least of the worst options, well, China is different. China has chosen to seek the excellent by learning from the West's mistakes and applying 2,000 years of country management techniques. It is based on a meritocracy, which is a mix of selection and election. The West tends to make the wrong assumptions of China to have a political model which has rigidity, which is politically closed and morally illegitimate. I think those are purely false and unfair allegations. The current system in China is based on meritocracy. It is very adaptable and very legitimate. The CCP functions is to act as a huge human resource agent, where the best graduated are selected in a pyramid-like structure. It is a system of constant performance review, public opinion survey that makes the best individuals move up the ladder of the government all the way up to the Politburo. It takes 20 to 30 years for people to move up the highest level of the CCP. While in the West, we are constantly in a vicious circle of elect and requests. We have clowns such as Trump as president, where elected people are there for a very short period of time and have to deliver not for the people, but mainly for the special interest groups, the ones that actually finance their elections. So it is no more about leaving a legacy, but more about how to hold onto power and extract as much as possible for themselves or for the elites they represent. This is during the short tenure in power. I think the West should instead do self-reflection and stop trying to export its failed model, especially since it is drawing a huge discontent and becoming less and less legitimate. In some countries, like in the USA, it is turning into a fascist police prison state. On the contrary, I think Western democracies should look into reforming and maybe try to learn from China and also be more humble, face its limitations and failures to deliver prosperity and sustainable environment and development. We are facing a similar situation we faced before the First World War, where Germany was emerging as the new superpower, and England was scared to lose its position. Germany had a great economy due to its hard-working population. It was expanding very fast and was about to challenge England's hegemony. England was holding its leading position because of the profit and tributes it got from the vast British Empire, a system that was not sustainable, as it was based on domination and brutality. The present situation is not much different. China is the new industrial powerhouse built on the sweat of a hard-working generation, and it is taking its revenge on 200 years of humiliation. The revolution started in 1978 with the bold move of Deng Xiaoping, 改革开放. He had decided about reforming and the opening up of China. China had used a non-aggressive path with a focus on prosperity of its nation, while on the other side the USA has become the largest superpower by domination in army, in the dollar hegemony, and the threats and bullying of enemies as well as partners. It owes trillions to China that it cannot repay. It is a fascist police prison state that holds 2.5 million people in its jails and keeps brutalizing its people. The world is facing a huge challenge. It is time where countries will start siding either with the USA or China-Russia bloc. There are cultural affinities as well as geographical, historical, that each country will have to consider. But ultimately, same as World War I and World War II, countries will take pragmatic approach to side with a potential winner, and some might change sides along the way. So China, I think, will not strike first, but there is a risk that the USA will do the first strike in a false flag operation, or do something similar to Pearl Harbor, do a blockade of Japanese trades to provoke a strike. It seems only a much bigger chaos in the USA would prevent the world from a long Cold War or potential World War III. If it is so, I hope there will be a color revolution in the USA for American people and also for world peace.